And joining me in the studio is some of the cast from the upcoming production of the Drowsy Chaperone, which takes place at the Capitol Theatre. Many of you have probably seen the show in Toronto. It's an award-winning production, winner of 5 Tony Awards, including Best Book, Best Original Score. The Drowsy Chaperone is a loving send-up of the Jazz Aid musicals, featuring the one show-stopping song and dance number after another. Really, it is. It just keeps coming. It's like fast-paced comedy. And if you love musical theater and you love to get drawn in, because that's what this is. This is a story. You just get drawn right in. Joining us today are Peter Riccio, Helen Matthews, and Ricardo Canlis, and of course Jack Boyajian is here as well. Welcome to the show, kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to have everybody here. Now, this show, you guys have been rehearsing for a while.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think everyone can be proud that it went to New York and won all sorts of awards, as you already said, and come from away, was saying to people, hey, look, we're really good at writing musicals, and sometimes they forget that, it's been done.
Yeah.
And so Bob Martin, who's fairly local, he wrote this musical, and it was basically a gag. They wrote the musical for his stag when he was getting married.
Right.
And Bob Martin and his wife, Janet Vandergraaf, who is... The 2 names are in the script. And after that, they fleshed it out, and it went to a small theater on the Fringe in Toronto. Mervish decided to put some money into it. It played in Toronto for a while, and then it went to New York. And, of course, everyone's like, oh, these Canadians, they write great musicals.
Yeah,
and by the way, we won all these awards. So, so it's funny how sometimes Americans like our stuff more than we do. So, yeah, I'm really proud of it. And he's now, I'm pretty sure it opens this week. Bob Martin has written another musical called Prom, and I bet you that's going to be a hit and make its way back into Canada as well. So, I'm very excited about it. We've been rehearsing since October, 21 people in the cast. And
you auditioned in September, though.
Yes, we auditioned in September.
Cast, 21. I mean,
21,
that's one of the larger casts you guys have had. I mean, I remember La Mancha had a huge cast. But typically, the cast tends to be very tight.
Yes, and we've got an orchestra, Peter, I think 10 people in the orchestra?
Yeah, no, 12.
12?
The one thing that I really appreciated when you talk to the audience afterwards, I mean, I've seen shows, people afterwards are like, man, I've seen the show on Broadway, it was not as good as this. And that's what the Northumberland Players do. They bring top quality Mervish style productions to the Capitol Theatre, and it's hard for people to wrap their heads around the fact that this is community theatre.
Yeah, I think we've been spoiled. We have, by the time this is all done, probably 70 people involved. We have a huge costume house, which you need for this 1920s musical because of the costumes. And many of the, Helen and I were talking that Suzanne Massou recently passed away.
Oh, I was not aware of that. Wow.
Yeah, she died last week, and she designed this beautiful costume that's part of the show. So we're very fortunate that we've actually inherited this legacy of all this talent and costume making, whatever. And you're right. When you get up there, you'll see it has this high professional quality. Last year's Sister Act I was not involved in it, but I went to see it, and it was absolutely fabulous. And I saw it in Toronto, and to me, it was better. And
it was.
Yeah. So we're fortunate, and it's talent. And because people don't do this for a living doesn't mean that it's amateur. I don't like using that word. It's community theater.
It's community theater. I never use the word amateur.
Yeah,
never.
Yeah.
No. You guys, I mean, the reality is the pool of talent that we have in Northumberland County. I mean, let's talk to some of the people here. I mean, let's talk to Ricardo. I know you've been in a couple of shows already.
Yes, I have.
And you are an active member now.
Yes, I am.
I mean, I could totally see you as Sancho Panza, for instance, if you guys ever decided to do that again. But I mean, what is it that drew you to the Players?
Well, for me, it was just joining a choir, local choirs, and then one of the choir members just said, hey, would you like to, try it for, back then it was Secret Garden.
Right.
And I said, sure. And from there, auditioning to Secret Garden, I ended up doing Secret Garden, and then Joseph and a Technicolor Dreamcoat, Sister Act, and now Jazzy Chaperone. I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Wow. Now, what is your background?
My background, I'm Filipino.
No, I mean, in terms of theater and...
Actually, when I was younger, I did a lot of piano playing, and I also some choirs in church as well, but never like anything this huge.
So theater, I mean, your first time on stage was with the Players?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yes,
How was that for you?
Oh, it's been an eye-opening experience, but so much fun, and it's a place where I can truly be myself and express myself. Yeah.
Well, and I bet you're thinking, man, I should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
Well, Helen, you've been doing Players stuff for a while.
Yes, my first show with the Players was Menopositive in 2008.
Right.
Yeah.
which was hilarious.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was- yeah.
Well, and then you
It
did
was fun.
Calendar Girls, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
you've done.
no, I didn't do Calendar
I
Girls.
thought you were in that. I remember.
Well, no.
Were you just on the poster? I mean,
No. They were all naked, Dave.
oh, that's right. That's right.
No, that wasn't me. No.
And Peter, now what are you doing in the show?
I am a rehearsal pianist, but I also play in the band,
Wow.
which is so much fun. The key thing we're all saying here is community theater is a blast. You know, it takes you away from your everyday life,
That's
and
it.
you're playing in a show, and it's fantastic. So this is, I guess, my third show with the Northumberland Players. So I've enjoyed being a rehearsal pianist. It's been great working with, you mentioned Marie. She's
Yeah.
been a driving force
She
in
is,
this
though.
production.
That's how
and,
she rolls.
I've learned a lot working beside her. She's wonderful. And watching Jack too, and watching the whole thing, it's been a lot of fun. I could speak for the band. We are just pumped to be for opening night. That's the more time we spend with the actors, the singers, the more fun we have. So for us, it's like being, a little taste of what it's like to be in a Broadway show.
Yeah.
And we all love it.
Well, they come to see the Drowsy Chaperone as they can in February when the show opens. And by the way, the show is tickets are available right now. You can get them online at the Capitol Theater. You can get them at the box office. Head on over there. The show opens February 22nd. Can we give the listeners just a little bit of a background on what the story is about? I alluded to the fact that there's a narrator. There's a guy in a chair who kind of sets up the show and sets up the story. We don't want to give too much away, but what can we tell the listeners?
Well, I think two things are happening. It's one, it's a parody of the 1920s American musicals.
Right.
So we get that sort of tongue-in-cheek, the jokes about the stereotypes and maybe even the racism that happened in those shows. And it's kind of a neat Canadian perspective. So there's that happening, the parody of the show, which is the hilarity of the show, really. The other side of the show is there's a man in the chair, and that's what he's called, Man in Chair. And he's telling us about his favorite musical, and he plays the musical on a record, and as he says, yes, a record. And he listens to the record on stage, and as he listens to the record, it comes alive in his room.
Right.
So the room transforms into this set. These costumes come out into this dreary apartment, and he is transformed every time he listens to it, as is the audience. He breaks the fourth wall constantly, so he's always talking to you, and there's all sorts of annotation from history of the of musicals to parts of his life that we start to kind of seep through. And so it's a very complex, sophisticated show with absolutely fabulous 20s music.
Yes, well, Jack, you wanna set this up for us?
Yeah, this is great. This is like the Broadway channel. We've got live music here, and Helen Pitt Matthew is playing the Drowsy Chaperone, and drowsy tends to mean a little bit tipsy, really. And she's going to sing a song called As We Stumble Along. And basically what happens is Janet Van de Graaff asks her, for some advice. Janet is conflicted. Should she marry this oil tycoon for love, or should she continue being a Broadway star? And she has to give up being a Broadway star. And she asks Drowsy, what should she do? And quite frankly, Drowsy is not that interested. But she gives us her advice through this wonderful song.
Alrighty, well, and the lovely musical stylings of Helen Matthews, everybody.
Inspiration? Really, dear, that's not my forte. As we stumble along on life's funny journey, as we stumble along into the blue, we look here and we look there, seeking answers anywhere, never sure of where to turn or what to do. Still we bumble our way through life's crazy labyrinth, barely knowing left from right nor right from wrong. And the best that we can do It's a dismal little world in which we live. It can bore you till you've nothing left to give. 7 overrated wonders, 7 underwhelming seas, 6 excruciating continents. Antarctica? Oh, please. Still, you mustn't let it lick ya. This planet, oh so bland. Keep your eyeball on the highball in your hand. As we stumble along, cross life's crowded dance floor, as we push and we shove, we live and we learn. And when we finally leave the bar and we see that morning star, we pull our bootstraps up and homeward turn. Then we stumble along through dawn's blinding sunbeams, barely knowing right from right and left from wrong. But as long as we can hear that little bluebird, there'll be a song as we stumble along. As we stumble, bumble, fumble, plumble, as we stumble along.
Helen Matthews, everybody. Let's give it up for her. That was amazing. Wow. One of the things that people need to realize too is that shows like this rely on a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of people in the background, people doing hair and makeup and costuming and building the sets. Can we give a big shout out to who's doing that for you guys this year, Jack?
As you know, Marie Anderson's our musical director.
Right.
Alina Anjemian is the choreographer. And we've got the set is being built by our volunteers. It's a tricky set because it has a Murphy bed in it. It has all sorts of parts moving in and out. That's that group. Our costume designer is Lisa Missenschnauzer, and it's crazy because most people have, I believe, 6 costumes each. And
Really? Wow.
yeah, and we've got a whole group of people backstage helping everybody change. Janet has Marley Boudreau Suter, who's the lead. She has 7 costume changes in one song
Wow.
during the song.
So it's a full-on share moment.
It's
for her.
One song.
yeah, absolutely. And Bruce Tonkin is the conductor of this great orchestra. And so yeah, it's a very, very talented group, and we've learned a lot from them. And the talent has been really easy to direct because of the talent. You can just go deeper, you can try harder things, and we're ready to go. I think they're just antsy to get going. We're running big chunks of the show now, and
excited.
we just need an audience, and we're ready. We're set to be ready for the 22nd.
And welcome back, everybody. Well, we're getting ready to set up the big song for Ricardo. Jack, why don't you give the listeners a little bit of background on what Ricardo's going to be singing for us?
Well, as I said, Janet Van der Graaf can't decide whether she wants to be a Broadway star or get married to Robert. And so the producer, Feldzig, decides he's going to get this Latin lover to seduce the bride, right? And so Adolfo, who's a few bricks short of a load, thinks that Drowsy is actually the bride. So he goes and tries to seduce her, but Drowsy's the chaperone. And this is the song that he's going to sing to her to seduce her.
I am Adolfo and bride.
No, I am not.
What? This is bridal suite. You are the only one here, therefore you must be bride.
Interesting argument, but I'm afraid you are a moron.
What?
Me, no bride. Perhaps I could take a message.
Yes, very good. Dear Vandergraaf bride, I must make love to you and transport you to a place of ecstasy. Sooner is better. Signed, Adolfo, King of Romance.
Well, you saw through my little ruse. You have found me out.
Ah, so you are the bride?
Apparently, yes. Take me, a doll face.
No, no, no. Not Adolphus, Adolfo. You must remember my name, for when we are making love and you are screaming, you must say the right name or it will spoil everything. How can I make you remember? I'm sure that you have heard the name Aldolfo, a ladies' man who wins acclaim Aldolfo. Well, lovely miss, I am the same Aldolfo. I introduce myself, I am Aldolfo.
Nice to meet you. Shall we?
Not so fast. Now, just in case you didn't hear Aldolfo, I'll try to make it very clear, Aldolfo. The lovely ladies always cheer Aldolfo. When I repeat myself, I am Aldolfo.
Understood.
I can sing it high, Adolfo. I can sing it low, Adolfo. I can sing it very fast, Adolfo. I can sing it very slowly. I'd do it now, but it would take hours. Now, let us see if you can remember my name.
I'll give it a shot.
Who's the fellow that you see?
Aldolfo.
And how should you refer to me?
Aldolfo.
And who is it I'll always be?
Aldolfo.
Now sing it proudly.
You are Aldolfo.
Now let me spell it out for you. For all you lovely ladies who didn't hear me for some reason. Maybe you are hard of hearing or something. I don't know. It goes Al, Dol, Fo.
And that, of course, was Ricardo and Adolfo. Yeah, give it up for him. Absolutely. How difficult is it for you, you think, then, on that one, Ricardo? Is it hard for you to get into character? Is it hard for you to find out what your take on the character is going to be?
For Adolfo, he's a very sassy and eccentric character. So I had to watch a lot of Sofia Vergara and that guy from... what is that? Dancing with the Stars. You know, that accent and that enthusiasm.
Right.
So getting to a character is a lot of mental energy, but it's so much fun. Adolfo is such a fun character.
It's hard for you to get out of character.
Exactly. Sometimes I leave just being Adolfo.
He's trapped.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trapped in another
Who
body.
are you today?
But it's a lot of concentration, commitment, and passion.
And the funny conceit about it is that within the 1920s musical, the way it's written, like the story within the story,
Yeah.
they don't know if he's European, is he Latino, is he what? So Ricardo does that great. He sometimes turns into a European lover, then you hear the Latino accent come in, and it's not an accident. It's very deliberate because the
That's the way those
confusion.
guys were.
That's the way it was, right?
Yeah.
It's a killer. We needed, kind of a dark guy to play the role of the 20s, and they would get anybody, right? And it didn't matter. So it was
Just something swarthy. That's
right,
all we're
swarthy.
looking
That's all.
for. With just a,
And
I
so
just- I need you to be a little more sporty.
Yeah, and so that's the joke in there of the 20s, and Bob Martin in the writing has brought that out in several places.
Well, that is amazing, and I want to thank you guys for coming in this afternoon and playing those songs for us as well, and thank you very much for that one, Peter, because, man, again, it's a show that's going to draw you in. If you're listening this afternoon and you're already tapping your toes, you're already laughing, and you're thinking, my God, I can't wait to see it, get your tickets. They're available right now at the Capitol Theatre. And give them a call. You can go to capitaltheatre.com. You can call them at 905-885-1071. They're only $34. That includes all fees. Students' tickets are $30. And again, you're not going to get another night out like this. You're not going to get a night out that's as entertaining, that's enthralling, that's going to draw you in for less than $35. I mean, think about that for a second, listeners. I want to thank everybody for being here this afternoon.